DNA is the genetic blueprint of all life. It's an incredible thing when you think about it. It determines your eye colour, your hair colour, even the size and shape of your nose. Just bear with me, we're still talking about elite today. We share approximately 96% of our DNA with a chimpanzee, about the same percentage of people who have probably worked out where I'm going with this. We also, supposedly, share 60% of our DNA with a banana, that fruit that can make people feel uncomfortable if they're sat opposite someone eating one. In 3304, Lakon Spaceways released 3 ships of a similar design with a single purpose: to defend humanity from the Thargoid threat. I've already covered the base model, the Alliance Chieftain. Now it's time to take a look at another one of these ships, the Alliance Challenger. As part of this, we need to see how much DNA the Challenger shares with the Chief, and whether those changes are for better or worse. Or just different, because that's also a thing. Aesthetically, I love the Chieftain. It's balanced, functional, and good looking at the same time. The basic shell of the Challenger is the same, but the front engines are shifted to the rear wing, which makes it look a little bit unbalanced and front heavy. Not that front heavy matters too much in the depths of space, but moving the engines probably doesn't help with manoeuvrability either. So that's about 80% of the Chief DNA, and for the worse I reckon. Not a great start. It also doesn't have a huge amount of paint jobs available, which is unfortunate, but at least there's something. The default scheme looks a little bit plain. The advantage of the Challenger is hardpoints and armour. One of the Class 3 hardpoints from the Chieftain was binned off in favour of 2 Class 2 hardpoints. Theoretically, this means it can put down more fire, and that's not a bad thing, at least for me. As for armour, the Class 5 internal compartment was moved to a Class 6, but the Class 4 was changed to a Class 3. Still means on paper you can squeeze more armour into the Challenger. It's odd. Both ships have basically the same frame, so either relocating the engines freed up some more room internally, or they managed to turn the Challenger into a TARDIS where it pulls more room on the inside from nowhere. The former is the obvious answer, but part of me would like to believe the second. Given the weight of that additional storage, you'd expect manoeuvrability and speed to suffer, and you'd be absolutely right, but it's not a huge problem. The Challenger still feels agile to fly, if a little bit drifty, and is able to run rings around some more cumbersome opponents. It just runs those rings a little bit looser than the Chief. It still has the same issues with trade that the Chieftain has, since 3 of the Class 4 compartments are for military use only. Fantastic for armour, but apparently you can't use them for cargo, even if you're trying to cram a shipment of weapons in there for a military application. Its jump range also suffers compared to the Chieftain, which, let's be honest, didn't have fantastic range to begin with, although if you bear these issues in mind, you can take it out for a spot of piracy or mining. Same with exploration, but as always I believe you can explore in any ship. It's just ships like the Crate Phantom or Asp Explorer make it a lot easier. After a little bit of experimentation, I built this ship as a counterpart to my Thargoid poking Chieftain. Except, since the Chief is a bit more manoeuvrable, it's more of a sniper build, gauze weapons for precision heart shots and all that, or at least it would be if I was a good shot with fixed weapons, but I digress. For the Challenger, I've taken a different approach, where the Chief is all about accuracy. The Challenger can get right into a murderflower's face with a full complement of shard cannons. It's not meta as such, but there's something to be said for essentially emptying a shotgun of shards into an interceptor at close range. There's an expression about not being able to hit a barn door at 20 paces. Doesn't matter in this case, the spread is about the same size as a barn door, so you're bound to hit something. Throw in a long-range thermal vent beam laser and you've got a way of keeping cool so you can get out of dodge when excrement hits the fan, and it works reasonably well. During the build process, when the ship had barely any engineering at all, I dropped into a nav beacon just to see how it did, and even with the Goid shotgun loadout, it managed just fine. Generally I don't spend more time than I have to with shieldless builds, but the Challenger is really making me wonder why. Even with no engineering, it would soak up a reasonable amount of fire. Add some heavy duty engineering to the armour with the deep plating effect and you're onto something that will really withstand a hell of a beating. One thing to consider is the price. The Challenger is the most expensive out of Lakon's 3 medium Goid busters. Where the Chieftain was a shade under 20 million credits to buy, the Challenger is over 30. That's the price difference of 300 Sidewinders. Not that you'd ever need 300 Sidewinders, hell I love the Sidey, but I can't think of why I'd need to own that many of them. maybe to cover a year's supply of rebuys from blowing them up in stupid way. Wait, I'm getting on a tangent again. Back on topic, is it worth that price difference? It's less pretty than the Chief, it's slower, it's less manoeuvrable, albeit not by much, but you can lay down more firepower, and you can pack more armour into the frame. If you're near the start of your career in the Elite Galaxy and you were choosing between the two, I'd go for the cheaper option initially and buy the Chieftain. But if you like the Chief and get to the point where money isn't really an issue, I'd pick up a Challenger to fly alongside it. If we go back to the DNA analogy from the start of this video, the Challenger probably shares about 95% of its DNA, and it's objectively not better or worse, it's just different depending on your flight style. If the Chieftain was a monkey like Diddy Kong, the Challenger would be more like Donkey Kong. Hits harder, but a little slower. I've said before that the Chieftain's my favourite out of the three ships, and there's not really that much in it between the Chieftain and the Challenger. I've not mentioned the Crusader, but that's something for a later video. As always, thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a share to help get it out there, and hit the like button. If you want to see more, a sub will let you know when future reviews are posted, plus there's already a few on the channel. Take it easy and enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. Myself, I'll be letting freedom in the galaxy ring with a shard shotgun blast. 07 to you all.